Welcome back to the neighborhood, boys and girls. Our next guest is one of my favorite people in the world, Michele Copeland. Michele,
hi.
Welcome to the neighborhood.
Thank you.
Michelle's an agent that we do some work with, and I met. We're going to talk a lot about that, how we met, how we came to do some business together. We do stuff a little bit different on Mr. Mortgage's neighborhood. We don't really go into, this is how many deals people did. I always love the story, and you have a really awesome story. So talk about Michele pre-real estate. What was it like growing up, and how did you get into the real estate business? Because most people aren't in second grade for career day and say, I want to be a real estate agent. So how did you get into the real estate industry?
So ironically, I lived in my childhood home until I was about 15 years old, and the real estate agent that my parents hired, I kind of was following her.
Okay.
Meaning helping her with photos, getting dimensions of the property. Plus we were touring properties at the same time. And I kind of fell in love with it. And believe it or not, I was actually in DECA in high school.
Sure.
And I told my teacher that I wanted to be a real estate agent. He's like, no, whatever you do not get into the industry. He's like, either get into something medical or something in the restaurant field, because that's something that you'll never lose a job at. So I took his advice. And then what I did was I did 2 years during high school in the restaurant field. And then I did 2 years at the end of high school. Sorry, I did 4 years. So I did 2 years, 9th, 10th, 11th and 12th grade actually in the restaurant. And then after high school, when I went to college, I went to the Restaurant School of Philadelphia for hotel and restaurant management. And then I figured, okay, I got the high school restaurant experience. I'll do the hotel experience when I'm in college, so that this way when I graduate, I'll know if I want to do restaurant or hotel.
Sure.
So I worked at a local Best Western in good old West Defford. I worked there for about 2 years. And then I decided at graduation that I wanted to stick with the hotel.
Okay.
So then I worked for the Marriott at the airport. I got transferred. I actually first worked at the Fairfield Inn in Deptford.
Okay.
I did the audit, so I worked midnight shifts, and I did the audit, which is like the tallying of all the totals for the day. And then from that point, the manager transferred me to the Marriott at the airport. And then I worked there for 2 years, and then I had health issues. And then at that point, I was doing dialysis every day at night for 9 hours. And then I was driving my car to Philadelphia, and I was working like 9 to 9. And then I was doing 9 hours of dialysis. So then I decided that was too much.
Yeah, a little bit.
And then I decided I was killing myself, because while I was doing dialysis at night, all my friends were out partying. At 21 years old, they were out partying and drinking, and I was doing dialysis. So then I decided to cut back my hours, and then I decided not to work for a little bit. And my brother's company, he had been there for a couple years, and it was a paintball company.
Okay.
So my brother's actually still there to this day. We know the owner very well. So he gave me a job helping out his sister do, they owned a magazine company. So I basically would just go there for whenever I felt good, and he would pay me under the table, and I would just do data entry. So I've kind of done a little bit of everything.
Right.
And then when I got sick, I was like, why am I letting other people rule my life? I always wanted to be a realtor, and I figured with my health scenario that would be the career to take, because it was something that I was more passionate about.
Nice.
And then that's how I got into real estate.
That's how you got in
Yes.
there. Okay. And where was the first place that you worked for real estate?
The first place I worked for Century 21, Hughes Riggs Realty, which is in Mullica Hill. Ed Hughes and Dale Riggs own the office.
I've done transactions with Ed.
Unfortunately, my parents knew Ed really well, so I didn't really go anywhere else. I basically called him up, said I had my real estate license, and he told me to come in. We interviewed, and then he told me I could work there like on the spot.
Right.
So a little bit of nepotism there. So then I started working there. 3 years later, I then got my broker's license, and then I stayed there. And then Dan Malloy, who was the manager at the time, who was there for a very long time, he opened up his own office in West Defford called Old World Realty.
Sure.
So I went there for about 6 years, and then after that I went to Remax. I was there for 6 years, and then now I'm with Omar Din with EXP.
Nice.
Yes.
Nice. And Omar's a great mentor and a great leader. You've been a solo agent. You've been on a team. What kind of... Do you like the team structure better?
I do. So, unfortunately for me, I'm kind of a control freak and kind of like to take care of everything, and I don't like to micromanage myself or delegate. So, I've always been a solo agent. And then because of my health issues, I was realizing that I was killing myself and I wasn't doing what was best for the clients. So in order to give my clients the best service, the best way to maximize my life and also the clients and the demands that's needed, that a team would be best for my lifestyle. Omar and I had met up because I had worked for Brian Ziegenfuss for a year at Remax. He was solely doing bank-owned properties, and I was totally putting in offers on Omar's listings, John Schwartz's listings, and also Jessica Church's listings. So me and Omar had a relationship at that point because he was at Remax and I was at Remax. I was in the Mantua office, he was in the Washington Township office.
Right.
So I already knew of him. But he didn't get into the industry until about like 2017 or 2018. So in 2018, when I started doing bank owns for a year, that's all I did. Me and him had a good relationship, and then he always tried to recruit me. But I was like, I'm not going to go from the Mantua office to the Washington Township office.
Right.
So then when he went to EXP, I had thought about leaving, but a coworker of mine had been extremely sick, and he was helping me out with my chemo. I was helping him out with his chemo. Unfortunately, he had passed away, and I told Omar that he was my priority at the time, and that when the time came, I would call him up. So unfortunately, that happened, and I have my broker's license, and Omar doesn't. So there was a couple other reasons for that as well.
Nice.
Because we're opening up an office in Washington Township.
Nice.
Yes.
Nice. That's awesome.
Yes.
So
we have leases. It's just that there's a variance right now that has to get approved, which has gotten approved. But on Monday, there's a resolution.
Nice.
So once the resolution goes through, then we will be up and running in Washington Township.
your official. Nice.
Yes.
Nice. That's awesome.
Yep.
So what about like your particular client? Like I know that you do buyers, but you also do listings. Do you have a preference? Would you rather a first time buyer? Would you rather a step up buyer? Would you rather just list properties and not do buyers?
No, I actually like both aspects. I mean, I've sold properties as low as $15,000 in Camden up to 1 point whatever million. So it's kind of like, I know it sounds silly, but like I like everybody. So whatever comes my way. There was a time actually too where I just did real estate, and then I actually did a lot of rentals because I was making like $1,000 a month just doing rentals every month as like a side gig. So, and nobody wanted the rentals, and I wanted the rentals because number one, I would make one half month rent, and then I would get them eventually as a buyer.
Sure.
So I was like, why wouldn't you want that?
You get
a
your
lot
pipeline.
of people don't. But what I do is I do I get all their information ahead of time. I do the NTN. I get all their pay stubs, their tax returns, everything, so that this way when they do go out a rental property and we put an offer in, I already have that. Because I don't want to work with somebody that doesn't want to work with me. We need to be a team. So if they're not willing to give me that information, then I'm not going to work with them because I'm not going to show them 10 properties and then there's 3 offers and then now we can't put an offer in because I don't have all the literature.
Right.
So trial and error. The good thing about this job is you learn to work smarter, not harder. And it took me a long time to realize that, probably 10 years.
Yeah.
I would always just get the face-to-face and just constantly show them. But then I realized that that's not the best for me or my client. So then you have to have the hard conversation about what I need. And for this to work, this is what I need from you. This is what I'll do for you. And once I have it, we just rock and roll.
A lot of people, I deal with a lot of newer agents, and I try to do a little bit of mentoring and coaching with them. A lot of them have trouble asking for that because they just feel like someone showed an interest in seeing a property. Let me go show them 15 properties, then I'll find out if they're qualified. And
Correct.
I'm like, no, that's crazy. You're wasting your time. Maybe one. If you want to meet them at one property,
Get that face-to-face.
Get the face-to-face, build the rapport, and then let them know
Correct.
at the end, especially in this market. Look, if the markets are different, maybe it's something. But if you find a property you like and you want to put an offer in and now you have to wait 3 days to get pre-approved because you're not approved yet, that property's probably gone. You know what I mean? Or by the time you put your offer in, there's already 14 offers ahead of you, so you got to way overpay for it. And I try to tell people, you don't want to sound like a used car salesman, like, hey, get pre-approved, but you're not prepared to buy if you're not pre-approved.
Yeah, the one secret I will say is I will always meet somebody the first time.
One property.
Yes, I will.
Yeah.
Because I want to get that face-to-face. They need somebody, they don't need somebody behind the phone, and a lot of people skip the easy steps, and they're the steps that you're going to solidify that person, whether it's a tenant or a buyer or a seller for that matter. So I always make sure that I have the face-to-face, and then once they're comfortable with you, I'm blessed, and they usually stay with me, and then I usually just move on from there. But I like to get that.
Then you tell them what you need, whip them into shape.
Yeah, and here's the thing. At the end of the day, and that's for a buyer or for a tenant, I mean, every realtor knows this. If you don't have that documentation, there's obviously a reason that they're not giving it to you. And if they're not going to work with you as a team and provide you that, you're not going to go anywhere anyway. Yeah. But I will waste that couple minutes or half an hour to get that face-to-face, so that this way they know who's on the other side of the phone.
Sure.
I'm adamant about that.
I tell the new salespeople that we have here, you can't want the transaction more than the other person does. Like, if you have one loan or two loans in your pipeline and you want more. But if you show that like desperation or that like that you want this deal to go through more than they do, they're going to feel that. And it's going to be super weird. Like you have to make them work a little bit. You can't just do everything for them because they never appreciate it. And then
you'd be surprised, especially on rentals. They're like, oh, I call this realtor, I'm not getting a phone call back. And they're so appreciative just to have somebody even show them a property. And like right now, there's no rentals. So they go really quick, just like you're saying. So I kind of prep them, but I've noticed that a lot of buyers and rental leads right now are pretty savvy, and they know that things are good. So they're actually people right now are more educated and they're more savvy of knowing what the process is, and they're more adamant to work with you because, you know, when there's like 30 rentals, it's like now it's like crunch time.
Sure.
Yeah.
All right. So let's talk a little bit about like mental health and wellness. I know that you had some health issues you were handling. A lot of real estate is a stressful business and things get a little crazy. What do you do for your peace of mind? Do you meditate? Do you do, self-help stuff? What do you do to stop you from choking people out and road raging?
Actually, real estate, ask my boyfriend. I'm like, it's always that. I do get massages like once every other week.
Okay.
I'm not a drinker. I'm not a smoker. I'm kind of like boring in that regard. I really just like seeing friends and going out to dinner. I'm more about the experiences than the material things. I used to have the Mercedes and the flashy purses and all that kind of stuff. But right now, experiences and quality time with friends and family that are important to me is more important to me than anything at this time. So I'm trying to focus more on face-to-face, breakfast, lunch, or dinner with friends and family and colleagues.
Nice. All right. Now I want to talk a little bit about future, because we talked about past and we talked about present.
Before we do that.
Oh, yeah. So I have gotten Jim a couple Mr. Rogers gifts over the last, course of time. Typically socks, which he doesn't have on today, which I'm a little disappointed about.
I do not have.
You don't have them on today, and a couple other things. But I got this on Amazon. I don't think you have this.
I do not.
So I figured that you could add that to your display.
That is so awesome.
Yeah. So I figured you would like that. It's a little pop, whatever it's called. Those Funko Pop things.
Funko. Yeah.
I just put in accessories for Mr. Rogers, and that came out, so I thought it was
so
cute.
Awesome.
Yeah.
The Mr. Rogers. That is so great.
Yes. So I figured I'd give that to you.
That is awesome. Yeah. I do have the Mr. Rogers mug.
Oh, that's what it was. Yes, a mug.
But you give me socks.
I got you socks too.
Yeah,
yes.
Yeah,
yes.
Awesome. So, okay. Now.
Future? What you were saying?
Future, yeah. Let's talk a little bit about your goals for 2024 and 2025. What are some things that you want to do and some check boxes you're going to accomplish in the next year?
Professionally and personally?
Yeah, anything, sure.
Okay, so personally, me and my boyfriend are going to Jamaica in 2 weeks.
Okay.
One of my last bucket item things I want to do is an over-the-water hut. So we're going to Sandals and we're staying in an over-the-water hut.
Okay.
During Thanksgiving.
That is a structure that is like on a pier or
Correct.
On something. Okay.
Yeah, so you can like literally jump off of it. So I'll be like a Kardashian for a couple days.
Jumping off there?
Yes.
Does it have a glass floor so
you
can look down in it?
It does.
That is so awesome.
To be honest with you, I didn't want to look at the rooms, but Nick went online onto the Sandals website and kind of like showed me something, and I was like, I don't want to know. I want it to be a surprise. So we're splitting it up. We're doing 3 nights in the Sandals Resort, and then 3 nights, the last 3 nights, we're going to go to the Over the Water Hut. There's like 12, and it's the shape of a heart.
Nice.
So that's honestly, like, as far as personally, once I do that, I'm good.
Okay.
Everything else is a bonus. As far as professionally, with me and Omar opening up the office, I kind of want to get more into growing our team.
Okay.
We're not really so much on quantity, it's more quality. And I know you follow that same goal. So to just do it and kind of maybe be more like administrative and more delegate. So this way I could be more productive instead of being out in the field so much, and also still doing real estate, but maybe at a different aspect.
Are you looking to mentor some
I
newer
could
agents?
eventually,
Okay.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
I like that. I can see
Yes.
that. I can see that.
Just stuff like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right, we're gonna end this part of the segment, and then Michelle's gonna flip the script on me, and she wants to ask me some questions and
Yes.
interview me. So we're gonna cut for here, and then we'll come back and we'll switch it all around. Thank you so much. For
Of course.
coming,
Thank you,
Michelle.
Jim.
Thank you.